It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because of his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul, therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Greetings and welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Sean. Just recently, or as of late, I've just been more conscious, I guess, or more aware of my own sinful nature. And, this verse just brings me great hope and great peace, knowing that God's mercies are new every morning, and that every day we get the opportunity to wake up and pursue a relationship with him and to draw near to him and to be changed and to be made new. And I just really find a lot of hope in those verses. That's Lamentation 3:22 through 26, in case you were wondering. Well, welcome back. It's Tuesday morning, September 4th, 2018, and today we are finishing up our study in the book of Exodus. So we're going to read 3 chapters this morning. Not a lot of commentary to be had on this. Basically, it's the finishing up of the things being made for the sanctuary. Here, let me get to my place here. You're dealing with the making of an altar for burned offerings, making of the court, more materials for the tabernacle, making of priestly garments, and then of course the tabernacle is erected, and that's how it ends. It ends with the tabernacle being erected and the glory of the Lord leading Israel. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to tackle this, and that'll be the end of our study in the book of Exodus. Although later on this week, if things go according to plan, we'll be reading from Exodus again as we discuss Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Shouting. So be looking forward to that, and hopefully I'm able to get that put together. All right, I'm short on time this morning, so let's not delay anymore, and let's just dig right in. I'm going to read from the King James Bible. We're just going to start with chapter 38, and we'll finish this up. Chapter 38, verse 1. And he made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horn thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof he made of brass. And he made for the altar of brazen grate, of network under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. He made the laver of brass in the foot of the brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court on the south side southward, and the hangings of the court were of 5 twined linen, and 100 cubits. Their pillar were 20, and their brace and sockets were 20, and the hooks of the pillars of the first fillets were of silver. And for the north side of the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, their sockets of brazen 20, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastwards 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver. And all pillars of the court were filled with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height, and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, and the hooks of silver, and the overlaying their chapiters, and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted, according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. And Baziel, son of Uri, and the son of Hur, and the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ashamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a cunning workman, an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet and fine linen. All the gold was occupied for the work, and all the work of the holy place. Even the gold of the offering was 29 talents and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,763 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah for every man, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talent of silver were cast the socket of sanctuary, and the socket of the veil, and 100 sockets of 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillar, overlaid their chapiters, and filled them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Chapter 39. And of the blue and purple scarlet they made cloths of service to do the service of the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the ephod of gold, blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires, to work it in blue and in purple, and in scarlet and in fine linen, with cunning work. They made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together. By the 2 edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of this ephod that was upon it was the same according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they were wrought onyx stones, enclosed in ouches of gold, graven as signets were graven, with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, and they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And it was 80 that they made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, doubling, being doubled. And they set it into 4 rows of stones. The first row was a satyris, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This was the first row. And the second row, an emerald, and a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper, and they were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one with his name according to the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the ends of the written work of pure gold. And they made 2 ouches of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold and 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate, and the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened into 2 ouches, and they put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod, underneath toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling, therefore above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they did bind the breastplate by the rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the robe of the ephod, a woven work of all blue. And there was a hole in the midst of the robe, and a hole of a habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and they put the bells between the pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about between the pomegranates. A bell of a pomegranate round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and for his sons. And a mirtree of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it writing, like unto the engravings of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. I want to stop there for just a second. In the King James Bible, in that verse 30, when it's talking about the engraving on the signet, it says holiness to the Lord. I just want to look real quick and see what that is in Hebrew. And I'm just doing this on the fly, so bear with me. Holiness unto the Lord, Kodesh. Yeah, so it's just holiness. So it's just Kodesh Yehovah. And that's what I was expecting to see. The word Kodesh in Hebrew, it means sacred or holy. And that's what gets translated as holy or holiness. Kodesh Yehovah. So that was what was engraved on the crowns. So it says, and they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like to the engravings of a signet, Kodesh Yehovah, holiness to the Lord. All right, I just kind of wanted to look that up on the fly. Verse 31, and they tied unto a lace of blue, and fastened it on high upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, and all the furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars, and the pillars and the sockets, and the covering of ram skins dyed red, and the coverings of badger skins, and the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony, the staves thereof, and the mercy seat, and the table and all the vessels thereof, and the showbread, and the pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door, the brazen altar, and his grate of brass, his staves, and all the vessels of the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hangings for the court gate, his cords and his pins, and all the vessels of the services of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, the cloth of the services to do the services in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments, to minister in the priest office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work, and Moses did look upon all the work, and beheld, they had done it, as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. So that's chapters 38 and 39, finishing up the conversation about how things are to be made and what was made and all that for the tabernacle. And we're going to read chapter 40 quick, which is very, very 38 verses dealing with the tabernacle being erected. And that is how the book of Exodus will end. So we've done a lot of reading over the past few weeks that deal with things that may not be so interesting, things that may be hard to listen to. It's been kind of challenging to even read, just because it's just the same monotonous stuff over and over. This is how this was made, this is how long this is what color this was. But all this is information that God has decided He wanted us to know. Right? This is all information that He wanted us to be able to look back at for whatever reason. And so, even though it may seem monotonous, even though it may seem, not very exciting, it's information that He wanted us to understand or know. And it's kind of hard for us to understand. It's kind of hard for us to visualize because we're using terminology and forms of measurement that we don't use in our culture today. And so, I just want to say I appreciate you hanging in there and listening. And hopefully there's something in there that blessed you in some way, or that hopefully there's something in there that'll strike a chord with you later on at some point when you're reading out of out of the Bible in a different area. You'll be able to go, oh, I remember this and why that's that, and hopefully it all comes together for you. Let's finish by reading chapter 40 here, and this deals with the tabernacle being erected. And that is it. So let's dig right in. Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the thing that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the altar of the gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put hanging of the door to the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hangings at the court gate. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle and all that is therein, and shall hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering, and all his vessels, and sanctuary of the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with the coats. and thou shalt anoint them as thou didst anoint their father, and they may minister unto me in all the priest office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses, according to all the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month, in the 2nd year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above it, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set it upon the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the tabernacle of the congregation upon the sides of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord has commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lightened lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil, and the burnt sweet incense thereon. And the Lord commanded Moses. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And he put the altar of the burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it burnt offering and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat, when they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he reared up the court round about, and the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode therein. And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, and the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not until the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. And that, my friends, is the end of the book of Exodus. And that's been an interesting study and a fun study, even though, like I said, the last 10 chapters were mostly just instructions on how to create things and build things for the tabernacle. But like I said, there's purpose and reason behind us needing to understand and have some working knowledge of what was going on there. So there you go. I hope that study blessed you, and we'll have to see where we're going to go next in the future. The Torah portion schedule is about to start over, and if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it in a future podcast. But in a nutshell, it's the schedule that has been followed by synagogues around the world for thousands of years, dealing with. So basically, it's a 1-year schedule that works through the entire Torah. Interestingly enough, and I'll just bring this up quickly in passing, I've considered doing it for years, for a couple years, and I started to do it last year, and then I ended up backing away from it. But it gives you something. It gives you a way to really read the entire Torah if you follow the schedule. And if you go to TorahPortions.org, they even have a gospel portion there as well. So you could read through the Gospels and read that kind of fit with the topic of the day. So, for example, the very first portion is called Bereshit, and that's Genesis chapter 1 through 6. And then So that would start October 6th, and that would be the weekly study for the Torah for that week. And then you would also read John chapter 1, verses 1 through 17 as an example. So I'm thinking about attempting that again this year, starting October 6th, but I haven't decided yet. Let me know if you have any thoughts about that. But it would be nice to kind of approach that. There may be times where I wouldn't be able to do it that week, but you would be able to see the schedule, and I would have it up at the website, and you could read it on your own if for whatever reason that week I'm out of town or I'm not able to do it. So that kind of takes the pressure off me to make sure I can do it that week, and allows you to continue to do it. So that's kind of something I'm thinking about, and we'll see how that plays out. If all things go according to plan, then I will be putting together a short study for you guys for this weekend on the Feast of Trumpets. And then for Patreon subscribers and supporters, it is my intention to get that next Hebrew course video out this week, but it'll probably be Saturday or Sunday when I actually get it recorded and uploaded. And so that's the plan for this week. All right, that's all I got for you today. I hope you were blessed. In the name of Jesus, peace and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.